The LSU Tigers take on South Alabama at Tiger Stadium in a non-conference matchup as LSU looks to shore things up before the bye week and the meat of the conference schedule takes place. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game as the Bayou Bengals and the Jaguars do battle. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole Thompson. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. This segment brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Go to RHOBACK.com. Use promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com. Promo code SECU to get 20% off today. LSU and South Alabama set to do battle Saturday night at Tiger Stadium. Again, we are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this non-conference clash, and helping me do so, my good friend Cole Thompson. He joins me once again. Cole, what's going on, man? I appreciate you taking the time.
Big catch, big bite down in the Bayou. What are we going to see now that you don't have Harold Perkins? And also, let's give a little bit of credit to the man, the myth, the legend, Rob Ezel, the offense coordinator down at South Alabama, who may have learned a few things how to coach underneath Nick Saban while impersonating him in Titletown, because the Jaguars offense is freaking fun so far. I mean, regardless of what you think about how this game is going to go, Sun Belt, Fun Belt versus SEC, let's just call a spade, putting up over 100 points in 2 weeks against an even Appalachian State roster, that is cause for concern against anybody. And they have, I think, a quarterback that is really flying under the radar at the national perspective.
Indeed. We'll get into that in a second. Cole, again, this is a 7:45 p.m. Eastern time kickoff on Saturday night on the SEC network at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. LSU, Cole, is a 20.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 65.5. And these two teams, Cole, have never met on the gridiron before. So this will be the first all-time meeting. As we dive briefly into South Alabama, Cole, you mentioned, and I got to see this team in person a little bit under, I guess, a week ago in that game against Appalachian State in Boone, which was a bloodbath from start to finish. This team 2-2, 1-0 in conference. They actually started 0-2, losses to North Texas and Ohio before rattling off 2 straight wins against Northwestern State, Cole, a game in which they scored, I believe, 87 points in that game. 87 points. And then Appalachian State, which, again, was a complete blowout. And seeing them firsthand, you really got to take in and experience the offensive side of the football and just how dangerous they are. They're averaging scoring 48.3 points per game, over 500 yards per game. Again, they had an 87-point game mixed in there. So does it skew the numbers a little bit? Sure, yes. But still, this offense is dynamic. This offense is explosive, and it starts with their quarterback, Gio Lopez, who, again, watching him, Cole, in person, guy is a dual-threat player, can absolutely sling the rock, but certainly dangerous, and somebody LSU is going to have to keep an eye on. Their RB1 is Fluff Bothwell, and Jamal Pritchett, their top weapon at wide receivers, got 4 touchdown catches already on the season. Cole, as we dive into this game, we say all that about South Alabama to say this. LSU should win this football game, right? I mean, there's no debate. There's no question about that. But you mentioned it top of the preview, Harold Perkins Jr., so unfortunate, out for the season with an ACL injury. And you already lost one of your top defensive linemen a couple weeks ago or so before the South Carolina game. The job gets even tougher for Blake Baker. Like there have been some promising signs on the defensive side. I think just the overall culture of LSU defensively is better. Like the way they're getting to the football and the intensity they're playing was better. But personnel is still obviously an issue. Now you lose your best player, Cole. I mean, when you talk about storylines in this game, that has to be number one, because you are going to get tested defensively. Like South Alabama doesn't have SEC talent. We get that. But you're going to get tested, and you know what's around the corner with the bye week, and then Ole Miss is upcoming. You need something to feel good about. It's going to be hard to find that. Like, who steps up in Harold Perkins' absence? I think that's going to be the top thing, obviously, we're paying attention to in this game.
Nobody does. And we did a video talking about what does the departure of Harold Perkins mean. I even said in the video, it's not a one-man job, because of it's more than just replacing the on-field production of what you had. So I know there's good people out there that say, well, look at his numbers, 1.5 tackles for loss, no sacks on the year, pretty underwhelming against SEC competition. But then you listen to Brian Kelly say the numbers speak more than just the tackles on the field. His impact is felt more than just the critical stops. And you go back and you look at that game where they get the fumble on Lenore Sellers and he recovers it inside of the 20. And that was kind of the momentum shift that LSU needed after scoring a touchdown to be able to kind of pull back into this game and say, we're going to at least give you our best punch. This is the aura that we have. But it doesn't just start with guys like maybe a Major Burns stepping back up from safety now, moving back to the star role because he's going to have to play there. It's also, how do you get guys such as Greg Penn to step up at linebacker and be that veteran role? How do you get guys on the defensive line to be able to add that pressure rate? Currently, LSU is actually just outside the top 10 in sacks through the first 4 games of the season with 11. Their front 7 has been really good at winning at the backfield to get into the quarterback's face. But also, I think that this is a major testament to the offense, because the last thing that you want is having an explosive offense that has a ton of weapons, a finally ground game that is sustainable. Is it a little hit and miss at times? Certainly, but you know that you got Caden Duran to be your lead back. I think the main question here that you have is, can the offense create drives to milk the clock and get their defense back to, I think, full strength? Because the last thing you want to do is watch as you give up a touchdown or you force 3 and out, and then the offense is right back out on the field and they give up a turnover and you don't have time to readjust. The thing that Blake Baker is going to have to do is make sure that he finds a way to build a defense around somebody, because number 7 was that guy. And offense coordinators were having nightmares at night trying to game plan for him, not because of one certain position. He was a jack of all trades, master of none. But it was just the fact he could do a little bit of everything. He could play in space. He could blitz. He could be a delayed blitzer. He was great in run support. He was getting better in coverage, moving to the star spot. That's where you feel, if you are a guy like Harold Perkins, that aura is going to be missed. So everyone's got to step up. But the season is not lost. I want everyone to know right now, the season down in Baton Rouge, you may have lost a game. You may have lost your star linebacker. It's far from over. There still is a lot to like about this Tiger team going into the Ole Miss weekend.
And you're going to, dare I say, Cole, get kind of a Ole Miss light with, I'm not saying South Alabama holds a candle to Ole Miss offensively, but you're just kind of, I think the style, I think you're going to get enough of a test to, to challenge you a little bit. And if you can put out a good performance, especially without number 7, I think maybe you start to, again, this is a building thing for Blake Baker here throughout this season. You're trying to small wins. You're taking account of these small wins and small things you can feel confident about. Because, I mean, Cole, you're going to need all the confidence in the world when Ole Miss comes to town, because I don't know if even that will help you. I mean, we all understand the challenge. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. Cole, have we given up hope? Have we given up hope that the running game will show up for LSU at any point? Is it even fair to ask the question that, is this the week the running game shines with Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson and Caden Durham? Like, can they get going, or is it something where you think, do we have to get to a point where we shelve it and say, hey, this is just not who LSU is this year? They're great in pass pro. They don't run the ball well. Because, again, that was the case against UCLA. I mean, you threw for, over 360, I think, something like that, and, ran for 100 yards. And it's just, the running game's still not what we thought it was supposed to be. Do you hold out any hope that maybe this is the week LSU gets the running game going?
I don't think that you're holding out hope. What I think you're doing is you're trying to build a game plan to where the running game can still be functional. I think that there's sometimes when you look at an offensive identity, you look at an overall persona of the game plan, and you start to pivot to what is the best course of action. Maybe it is on 3rd and short, where you got a guy like Caden Durham to be able to kind of punch his way forward for a pickup of 5, a pickup of 4. Maybe it is once you get inside the red zone, you trust that a Josh Williams can break away for that 10-yard run. Maybe it is when you have certain play designs, like 1st down you're passing, 3rd down you're passing, 2nd down you decide on what you want to do depending on the field position. That, I think, is going to have to be the game plan moving forward for LSU. And I also think that if the running game does get established against South Alabama, who's been overall pretty solid, but also kind of hit and miss depending on the matchups of what they look at the second level of the defense when it comes to the run blocking, this is not enough for you to, I think, say, well, we finally turned the corner. You're not going to know what you've turned until, I think, you go up against an Ole Miss, until you go up against maybe even an Alabama late in the year, until you face off against a Texas A&M. But it may give you the confidence to go back to the playbook next week or in 2 weeks when you face off against Ole Miss and say, let's see what's working. But for right now, I think you have to build an offensive game plan about certain formations, field position that you feel comfortable, trusting a Durham, trusting a Williams to be able to push forward, move the sticks, and then set up plays. But You don't want to be predictable on offense. At the same time, you got to do what's best because if you have to find a way to win. Garrett Nussmeier's wheeling and dealing, and I still feel like the Tigers offense can be a reason why they're going to the college football playoff.
I'm excited too, Cole, to see the evolving role of Aaron Anderson in the LSU offense. We know about Kyron Lacey at wide receiver. Mason Taylor's been great at tight end. Aaron Anderson, a guy that I'm not sure many folks, that was one of the top names they listed coming in the season. He's been very good for them for the last couple of weeks. So
I think the other thing is getting back Kyle Parker, seeing what he can do. Big time play in the game. I think it was a 25-yard catch. So you have guys, maybe they're not elite like the Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, but sometimes you just need to have that one alpha and a bunch of really good supporting cast. They have that in CJ Daniels, Xavier Thomas. They have that in Aaron Anderson. They have that in Kyle Parker. I feel good about where LSU's passing attack is simply because of, who's the one, but any single one else can step up as the number 2.
So again, a lot of value, Cole, to be gained in this game, I think, for LSU is, again, you put the finishing touches on some of your non-conference matchups before the bye week, and then you dive into the heart of the schedule in October. That being said, Cole, let's lock in some predictions. I'll start in this one. LSU's going to win. There's no question in my mind. It's just, how does it look? I got to be honest, Cole. I think Garrett Nussmeier, to your point, is going to be wheeling and dealing. I think the passing game is going to be electric. I just don't trust LSU to go out and just dominate someone right now. I just, especially losing Harold Perkins, I think there's going to be an adjustment period. Like I mentioned, Cole, I saw South Alabama in person. They can score the football. Like they offensively are a problem. And I think we're going to see that again. And for whatever reason, LSU's got this bad habit, especially this year, of just kind of letting people hang around. And you look up at the margin of victory and you're like, I mean, you won, but I don't know. It's kind of got that vibe this year for whatever reason. So I think it's going to be that again. I think LSU gets the win. I think offensively they put up numbers, but I think South Alabama, Cole, is going to put up numbers. I do. I think they're going to score points offensively. The over-under, Cole, in Vegas is set at 65.5 for a reason. I don't know that they think LSU is going to score 65 by themselves. I think they're just expecting points on both sides. Give me LSU 45, South Alabama 28. Again, I think the Jaguars score points. LSU wins this football game, but it's another week, I think, for the home faithful in Baton Rouge where it's a win, but it's not quite the way you want to be winning. So, and there's going to be a lot of questions asked, especially. I just think there's going to be an adjustment to no more 7 out there, and I think the defense could struggle. But LSU wins. They put up big numbers offensively. Feel good about that side of the ball, if nothing else, going into bye week.
There's a lot to like about LSU's passing attack. There's a lot to like about what you've seen from Caden Durham as the true freshman. There's a lot to like about what you've seen from the pass pro protecting Garrett Nussmeier. And there's a lot to like about seeing some younger players step up. But I also agree with you when it comes to this. Just feels like a game where you were going to watch Gio Lopez find opportunities throughout the creases. You're going to watch this run game, I think, gets established for the Jaguars in the first half. LSU will find a way to win. LSU will find a way to pull away. I think LSU will easily find a way to show you that when they're humming in the passing attack, whether it be with Aaron Anderson, Kyron Lacey, Xavier Thomas, CJ Daniels, you could even throw in Mason Taylor. Really good performance last week against UCLA, a security blanket at tight end. They feel like that they can win one way. That's the problem when you go play against SEC opponents, is you can only win one way, outlasting them through the air, strike after strike after strike. I'm going to go ahead and trust my gut. I'm going to say that I believe that they're going to cover the spread at 20.5. It's just going to hit the over, but I will go LSU 42, South Alabama 21. I just feel like that line is just going to hit. You will see, I think, another big 4 or 5 touchdown day from Garrett Nussmeier. You will get a rushing attack. I think the big difference in this game, you will watch as Major Burns shows you that even though he is not going to be Harold Perkins, he can do enough at that star position to where maybe you can eliminate some of the more mobile quarterbacks you play. And there's some going ahead. It's not just Jackson Dart. You also got to worry about Taylon Green. You got to worry about Marcel Reed. Depending on what happens when you take on Alabama, Jalen Milroe is going to be that guy. So you're going to have to see, I think, a good performance from Major Burn as that star player who can do a little bit of everything. That Swiss Army knife, he makes a big stop. No injuries. I think the main thing that if you are LSU, go into the bye fully healthy. Don't care about what the spread is. Just get a win, get out, get back to right, before you have to welcome on in a very, very, very dangerous, and even in his mind, to Lane Kiffin, who does not believe in the rat poison, elite team in the making down in Death Valley on a Saturday night.
So, guys, do you agree with us? Do you disagree? How do you see this thing playing out when LSU and South Alabama do battle? Guys, it's going to do all for us. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.